Hi, my name is Cheryl Camarillo, and today I decided that I was going to get on and do a live. Hopefully, I can do these quite frequently. The main reason I want to do it is so that people can come in and ask questions about betrayal trauma. Maybe you have a partner that's been cheating, had an affair or a couple of affairs, or maybe there's pornography use or obsessions with online dating apps, and it could be a variety of things. Sometimes there's going to massage parlors or gentlemen's clubs. If you and your partner haven't had a discussion about what those rules are that you want in your marriage, then it needs to be something that gets discussed. And a lot of times, the partner that's having the behavior issues will actually just assume that it's okay, or not talk about it, hoping that it's not going to create a problem. And then at some point, the secrets actually start building up and getting, growing. And so I just want to be able to offer as much support as I can to the women that are struggling, and men who have a partner that's stepped outside of the relationship. A lot of times, it's very lonely time. It's really hard to figure out in those first days who can you talk to. You either want to talk to everybody and spill your business everywhere, and that creates a lot of boundary issues for you down the line, or you don't want to talk to anybody because there's so much shame and so much guilt, so much humiliation attached to that kind of situation happening. I've worked with a lot of women, and I've also had to deal with this myself, having to understand, that my partner's behaviors are not acceptable. And so being able to set limits or being able to say what it is that I need, and then having to make decisions based on what my partner chooses to do or not do. Um, you know, I did have a relationship where pornography was the issue, and along with a variety of other addictions. And I just decided one day, I had been a therapist for 25 years. I just decided one day I need to understand. The year that my husband and I separated, I just needed to understand what this was all about. And when I went out to do research, I started finding out what are the best programs for a person that's struggling with this type of issue. And truthfully, I just kind of thought it's a choice and he needs to just stop. But eventually, I kind of started to understand there's so many things that go into or contribute to this kind of a problem. And so I did the research. I found the best. I found a lot of programs out there. There's a lot of therapists. I went to probably one of the top few people that are up at the in the educational field regarding sex addiction and infidelity and pornography addiction. But I also studied sex therapy in general and trying to understand how to do recovery for relationships, because ultimately my goal would have been that me and my husband reunify. Unfortunately, while I was in the midst of getting all this information, when I finally figured out how I would how I would move forward with this issue, I kind of started to realize that I needed to get therapy. He needed to get into group therapy. I needed to get into some kind of support therapy or coaching. So I started to kind of figure out what the plan was. And at the time that I took my first course, which is like a 5-day course up in, mine was in Arkansas, and it was going to be 5 different weeks in Arkansas, 4 different weeks in Arkansas. And when I went to the first one, I realized what was going on and what the problem was. And I was super happy because I finally had an answer. And that's what I want for the ladies and men that come in here, to try to figure out, like, what is the answer? Like, why did this happen? Why has the relationship turned upside down, or why has the relationship never actually had everything it needed to have in order to be a successful relationship? So that's my focus, that's my goal, and I will do everything I can, come on here doing lives as many nights as I can, just to answer questions, to offer suggestions, to share maybe some of the questions that I hear in my own counseling sessions. Like I said, I've been a counselor for 30 years, 25 of those years working with trauma, working with child protective services, understanding military, military PTSD. Um, I've just worked with just high amounts of trauma. But I'm going to tell you that the most challenging has been working in this field. And if you're starting out and you don't have a clinical background, you don't know how to search for something. I just want to make that path so much easier. I want to shine the light for you, and I want to be able to have people ask the questions that they need to or find a resource, because if I don't know the answer, I can certainly figure out who to point you to in order to get the information. Um, I think it was having some of the women show up in my office with their husbands or their boyfriends, and having to discuss, what's going on. And it really was. Hold on one second. Hold on. I hope you couldn't hear that, but I have a dog that's chewing on something in the background and it's driving me crazy. And I'm sure that if I can hear it, y'all probably hear it 10 times worse or are getting frustrated from hearing all of that strange crunching sounds. And it's just a toy that he's going to chew up into 1,000 pieces. So, anyway, so I was saying that I do have couples come into my office, and it's just so confusing for them. They don't know which direction to turn. They just know that this, horrible thing has happened. This relationship of 13 years, 25 years, 2 years. They felt like it wasn't in the best of shape, but it wasn't bad. And it was a family, and everything was working out the way they thought it should. And really, what was happening is there was a lot of secrets, and when those secrets first get discovered, it's devastating. It's like being thrown backwards off of a mountain into a black hole. It's like free floating backwards and thinking, "Oh my gosh, am I ever gonna stop falling?" And I'm just gonna tell you that it'll feel like that for a while, but the information that you get, the questions that you ask, the support system that you build up around you is actually going to do so much for you. It actually will probably take you to the next level of resiliency and strength. The courage that you have to address these issues, all of that's going to come into play. And you're going to see that you can handle a lot more than you thought you could. Um, and whether the relationship stays and y'all decide that you're going to work on reconnection and, rebuild the relationship, rebuild trust, understanding of empathy, being able to understand that there's truth and honesty at all times, that you can feel vulnerable with your partner, that you feel there's a sense of compassion coming from your partner. When those things start coming into play, it makes it a little bit easier for you to let your guard down. And when you let your guard down, it makes the person with the affair or the problematic sexual behavior, it helps them to start feeling like, okay, I need to be able to talk openly. I need to be transparent about the things that are going on in my head, because this is an addiction and a sickness, and I need to be able to make it stop. So ultimately, that's the goal, is that they work themselves up to the point where they're able to self-monitor. They're able to understand what their triggers are, what it is that seems to point them in the direction of acting out. And then by you watching and observing that they're consistently trying to get through this issue, and then you also working on your own trauma, because this is what it is for you. You've been traumatized. You start having nightmares, you start having problems falling asleep at night. There's like a level of depression, there's anxiety, there's constant worrying, there's, increased health issues. A lot of people end up needing, help for chronic health conditions because the body can only handle so much stress. You've gone into fight or flight, and now you need to be able to move away from that and downshift into a relaxed state, as relaxed as you can get when you're in the middle of something like this. But trying to teach yourself that you can be calm, that you can be collected, that you can be in control, so that every day it seems like things are getting better and better for you. And I know it will. Um, I, I know it will if you're determined that you're going to work on the issues and the problems. It may take a year. It could take 3 years. It could take 5 years. It's an ongoing process, just like any other thing that you try, any other kind of goal that you try to accomplish. When a person is like deciding that they want to become a doctor, it's like a long series of steps involved in order to get to that place at the end where you finally say you're a doctor. You finish out, school, and then you go to college, and then you go to medical school, you do your residency, and at the end, hopefully you're going to have your license to practice medicine. Same thing as a teacher. You don't just say one day, I'm going to be a teacher. And it requires you doing everything you need to go to college, the internships, the opportunity to, you know, just study in the field or in the topics or the areas that you want to teach in, whether it's elementary or maybe you want high school science or anything like that. It's a process, and just like your careers are processes, just like raising children from infancy all the way from pregnancy, all the way up through getting them out of the house at 18 or 30, whatever it takes for you to say, I've successfully helped my child launch, where they're able to be happy, that type of thing. That's a process. And so I have to be honest, this whole, problematic sexual behavior thing, it's a process. And then trying to restore a relationship, to try to get your relationship into recovery, it's a process. I do want to say that I get it when you say this is his problem and he needs to fix it. But the other side of that, again, I'm going to say you've been traumatized. And, when you've been in fight or flight, running for your life, not understanding what all has been going on. And then when it suddenly is like a flash in your face, and you can't really see very clearly, as things start to get more clear, you're going to be able to have a path forward. And again, that's what I'm hoping to be here for. The other thing is that I'm hoping that I can build a community of women that are dealing with this, because ultimately this is about healing. When I put this together, I was going to specifically work with the individuals with the problem behavior, and um, and I had a deep understanding of what was going on underneath, like what was contributing to these bad decisions about their sexual behavior. And then when I realized, the spouses weren't getting any attention, I'm going to just say, quote, when am I going to get some kind of attention for this, because this happened to me, end quote. So seriously, when a lot of people have like let their secret out, there's like a response afterwards if they decide they're going to start working a program for themselves where they feel so much better. It's kind of like it's a relief to not have to carry the secret around. Well, guess who gets to carry the load now? It's going to be you as the partner. And you as the partner are going to have to be, dealing with all of the negative thoughts that go through your head, all of the questions, all of the wonderings. You're going to be on this path where you're going to be like, I need to find out, is he being honest? Let me look through his phone. Let me check where he's at on the 360 app. Let me do all of these things. And he's going to have to let you do those things, because when you get enough evidence that says, okay, I think I can trust that he is where he needs to be, and you feel like he's 100% being honest, and that little alarm inside of you doesn't go off saying, I don't think so. When you start to feel that, that's actually going to be a good sign that you're moving forward. But you know you have to do what you need to do to keep safe. So having your partner run around and see other people, um, that's an issue. Having your partner not participate in the family because they're so busy acting out. Again, your family, it's being impacted. It's not just you, it's your kids. Your kids are watching what it's like to see a couple that is not truly connected. Because when one person's holding a secret and the other person is totally clueless about it, then you have this disconnection. There's not 100% truth and honesty going on. There's not an opportunity for vulnerability. How can you have true vulnerability if the other person's not telling you the truth? So I love all the vulnerability information that comes off of Brene Brown. If you ever wanted to do a research, just do research on a topic. A side topic would be Brene, Brene Brown. She writes a lot of books on things like vulnerability and how hard it is for people to let their guard down, how unsafe a lot of times people feel. But once you work through some things, readjusting and changing how your communication is, and trusting that it's truly a safe relationship is going to be like the ultimate goal at the end. It's going to be like the relationship that you were having that had all the secrets wasn't as strong as it's going to be at the other end when you do actually have the healing in process. You feel like his recovery is moving in the right direction. You feel emotionally balanced. You feel like you're both working as partners, as a team. Getting your family together, and then also getting your couplehood together. I'm inventing words. Couplehood. That's one of my words. Um, so I've said a lot of things, and I know that I'm kind of like all over the place, but this is basically like maybe my third or fourth live that I've done. I did another live for January 1st, and so I was on for an hour and a half, just kind of moving through things because I really wanted to emphasize self care and giving all kinds of pieces of information. So I am going to say that I titled this something that has to do with boundaries. So setting boundaries is going to be one of those areas where you start to feel a little bit more safe in your home, in your relationship, in your just in who you are. And so by setting boundaries, it could be anything. Some basic setting of boundaries could be that, um, you know, you need to come home after work. You don't need to disappear. Um, you know, you you need to have your partner put an app on so you can, figure out where he's located at times. Seems kind of like you're gonna have this like job to patrol whatever your partner's doing, but that's a choice that you make. Some others will say, if he wants to save the marriage, he needs to do whatever he needs to do, and I'm just going to step back. And again, that works too. Everybody's different in how the relationship moves into recovery. But as many things as you need to start feeling safe, that you don't feel like everything is on edge or somebody's going to throw a grenade on your day. As many things as you need, you have the right to 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 deal with that. Um, I went to a training over the summer, and somebody handed out this this list, and it was called the Partners Bill of Rights. And I was I was really surprised because it covered a lot of areas where, uh, it just talked about things that a woman or a man needs when their partner has cheated or they have a sexual problem, where they're, using the internet, all those different things I already talked about. So I just want to encourage you, um, to stick around. Probably that for the next live, I'll pull that out and just list off a couple of those things. But I know off the top of my head, one of them was that you should be able to know where their location is at all times, that they don't put themselves in situations where they're around a lot of other women. So that can include the job situation. I've had plenty of men who work in situations where there's a lot of women around, and so then you can't say, well, you can't work with other women. If it's possible, you could, but if career wise that's not an option, then there needs to be this commitment from your partner to be able to say, I will not do things one on one with other women in our office or in our um, in our organization. Um, if people can be reassigned or changed to other positions, that's great. Um, so that would be another thing. It's kind of like there's no reason for your partner to be around other women while they're trying to work on just being sober. And it may sound kind of odd to say the word sober when it comes to like sexually acting out. And I'm kind of talking about the chronic, infidelity where there's affair after affair after affair. That's kind of different than just like the one time affair. The one time affair is just as much pain, but there's not as much concern about the fact that every time you turn around, he's going to be pouncing on another person to meet his, needs. And so we'll talk a little bit more on at another time, or you can send me a question and I will expand on that area. I will I will say that my specialty is more along the lines right now of working with the couples in healing, and that healing can't start until the partner who is cheated or has a problem behavior goes and gets support and services, when that the person, you who have decided to show up here, has gone and gotten your own support, whether it's group or individual or couple or all three, reaching out and getting that support. That healing cannot truly lead to full reunification or full reconnecting until these first two pieces get done. And somebody gave me a good view of how to organize this. And one person had actually talked about how there's crisis in the beginning. There's three parts. The first part is crisis. You've just found out what's happened. There's all the fighting. There's all the emotion. There's all the questions. All of the self-esteem, self-worth, self-confidence knockdown, the shame and guilt, everything. Crisis. The middle phase is stabilizing. That's where you do all of the work that you need to in therapy. There, for some people, there's been a disclosure. Everybody has to make their own decisions on what they want to do with disclosure, but that's usually something that's formal, where the one person that has the issues will come and explain everything that they've done to the relationship. And I'm going to tell you that a lot of the people that have the affairs will say, no, I don't want to do that. That's just going to hurt my partner more. The problem is they don't understand that their partner really truly wants to know the information. And any little pieces that they get is actually something that will help them make a decision. And maybe it's a decision to leave, or maybe it's a decision to say, okay, I feel like there's beginning of communication here and I can work with this. Um, so disclosure, um, so crisis, stabilization, and disclosure. And once you've gotten through this part, both of you in therapy and maybe getting extra support for the marriage while you're going through this. But the third part is the actual, the it's the ultimate for a lot of people that come into counseling. It's, are we saving our marriage? Are we going to have a divorce? Are we breaking up? Do I need to find another place to live? That last piece, part 3, is the healing of the relationship. So, crisis, healing of the individuals, healing of the relationship. And healing of the relationship might include that you and your partner work with each other and talk with each other and still make a decision to not be together. And ultimately, um, the positive in that is that if you've worked on things together and you come to the realization that maybe you're not a good couple together, that you will at least understand how to move into your next relationship in a healthier way. So, Um, I will probably do a webinar this Sunday, and I believe I'm going to do it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And the webinar is going to cover the Partners Bill of Rights. So if you are a woman that's been struggling and not understanding, like, where do you stand in this situation, I'm gonna cover that. If you would like the actual document that I'm gonna be reviewing with you, you can send me your email by going to my website, CherylCamarillo.com, CherylCamarillo.com, and just write a note saying, could you give me the Bill of Rights, and also um, could you send me a reminder and a Zoom so that I could connect into the session, because I'll do it on a Zoom. So if you're interested in that, let me know. Um, you could also go on to my TikTok and do a message to me. And my TikTok handle and my YouTube handle is at Sharing with Cheryl, which, I hope that's what this process is, an opportunity to share, for if you need to unload your pain, for you to be able to have other people listen to you, and then also for you to be able to do the same thing. When you sit and hear other people's stories, it kind of helps you understand that this is very real, and that it's not isolated, that you're not the only one that's suffering with this. And it kind of helps lift the load a little bit and not making you feel like you're the odd person out because you've been not understanding what's been happening. So I hope this was helpful. And until tomorrow, I'm going to try to do 7 days in a row. So we'll see what happens. Usually I'll be doing these after 9:30 or 10 o'clock. So hopefully you can catch me then. Thank you.